under 10.5 on the line.
You have to be the biggest, dumbest idiot.
Josh Allen inside the 10, inside 5, touchdown, game over.
Going into the draft, I was a big Penix guy. I'm still a big Penix guy.
Rashee Rice is way ahead of schedule in his ACL rehab, which is good news for his fantasy managers because the Dallas court system is way behind schedule. That's also good news for local comedian Miles Francis. Welcome to part 2 of This or That, where Ryan, Perrio, and I decide between two players of the same position who are being drafted in the same round of fantasy football drafts this year. Ryan, Perrio, welcome back.
Thanks for having me again. This has been, great little break here. We've got to air out some thoughts.
Yeah. And we're going to keep airing them out. We agreed on a couple. We had disagreed on one or two last episode. We will keep track. We always keep track on this podcast. Yeah. So we will review this or that next year. We didn't do this or that last season, so we got to, figure it out this year. But we're going to get into it. We're going to start with two running backs that are being drafted rather high. One I'm very surprised, and one I know you love, but we're going to find out how much you love him. RJ Harvey, rookie for Denver versus James Conner, being drafted in the same neck of the woods. J.K. Dobbins, I think, was signed for a reason. And I think they got to look at RJ Harvey. They're like, oh, maybe we like him, maybe we don't like him. Either way, he's not going to be our bell cow. He's not going to be a rookie bell cow year one. And we're going to bring in J.K. Dobbins to at least split the carries with him. James Conner, on the other hand, has outperformed his average draft position every single year, basically, of his entire career. He is so boring. He's getting old, but he's not showing any signs of slowing up. That's my biggest pet peeve with fantasy football analysts, where they're like, oh, Mike Evans is 31 this year. Like, yeah, you said that last year when he was 30. And guess what? He was fucking awesome again. Okay? So, you can tell me that a guy's starting to lose their step, and then we can start fading them the next year. But until they stop being elite, especially with medicine and recovery and all the stuff that guys are doing, seeing chiropractors, seeing PTs, taking care of their bodies in the offseason, eating healthy. When a freak athlete eats healthy, sometimes they can just increase their career longevity by 5 years. That's just stuff that I think is happening. And I get it, James Conner has been an injury concern. But even with those injuries, he's been the number one guy, and he's going to continue to be the number one guy. Maybe he misses a couple games this year. And maybe J.K. Dobbins with two reconstructed Achilles tendons, he's not going to be what it's cracked up to be. But I think they brought him in there for a reason, and that's why 10 times out of 10 I'm taking James Conner over R.J. Harvey. Ryan, Perrio, one of your favorite running back prospects going into this season, R.J. Harvey. Are you taking him ahead of James Conner?
I'm not taking him ahead of James Conner, but I wouldn't be surprised if RJ Harvey's not one of those players that after week 8 just absolutely explodes like Bucky Irving last year.
That's the problem, right? Is you got to wait till week 8, and James Conner's going to be a go at week 1.
Yeah, I think J.K. Dobbins is going to be kind of like Rashawn Moore at Tampa Bay, where he just basically just kind of split time with Bucky Irving, and then just slowly over time, Bucky Irving's just basically
Rachaad White. You said, yeah. Sorry.
Okay. Rachaad White. Yeah, but I believe that he will be. It's going to be that kind of situation in Denver. I think J.K. Dobbins is going to be the early down guy. He's going to have some moments, but I think you're going to be asking yourself by week 4 or 5, why isn't R.J. Harvey getting more carries? And then it's just going to go from there, just like it did Bucky Irving. It just after we watched him in week 6 on Monday Night Football, like, why is this guy not starting? Why this guy is picking up 7 yards every play, and yet we're going back to Rachaad White, who gets 2 yards and gets tackled.
Yeah. Okay. So sounds like for you, dynasty wise, you're probably leaning definitely. I mean, obviously age, you're taking RJ Harvey. So dynasty wise, you're leaning towards RJ Harvey as still a good asset to have on your team. Just might not pan out this year in redraft leagues. So both those guys are going basically in the same range on most platforms. Some rookies are a little bit lower on certain platforms than others. I think ESPN, he's really low or whatever. But, yeah, just too much hype on the major platforms for RJ Harvey. Not to say that I hate the guy, but when I have
it's a sexy pick when you look at their backfield last year. You can
Yeah.
see why. Hey, new fresh legs. They're absolute. That's all they needed. And
Well, they're not that fresh because he's pretty old. He's 20. He's already 24 years old. So yeah, we'll see what his career is like. But I think this year we're both taking James Conner 10 times out of 10. We got a quarterback discussion here.
Well, we go QB. Okay.
Quarterback discussion here, Ryan Perrio. And this is going to be, people are going to think I got a hot take here. I think it should be the norm. I think it's what we should be talking about. And I'm just going to say it out loud. This or that. Baker Mayfield or Patrick Mahomes. Give me Baker Mayfield 10 times out of 10. And I get it. You see Patrick Mahomes there. He's done great in fantasy football before for probably you, but that was 6 years ago. It's not the same offense. Might not even be the same Patrick. I don't think he's really rushing the ball as much as he used to. And yes, like I said, I've already, I think in the last episode I talked about how he lost his number 1 and number 2 wide receiver, Hollywood and Rashee Rice last season, basically from jump. So that's obviously going to hurt. Obviously, with those and an ultra aging Travis Kelce, we're watching it before our eyes, just the horrible things that Taylor Swift has done to him. He lost his fade and he has a nice haircut now. And it's not, you know what it's not? It's not wide receiver 1 behavior we're seeing on Travis Kelce. We're seeing starting center behavior out of Travis Kelce. And that's
Jason Kelce out of Travis Kelce.
That's a real sad to see at this part of his career. But anyways, Baker Mayfield's just been the better regular season quarterback. We play fantasy football in the regular season. Baker Mayfield has been by far the better regular season quarterback than Patrick Mahomes over the past 2 years. And Baker Mayfield, they just brought in Emeka Egbuka. I know Wirfs is probably going to be out on PUP for the first 4 weeks of the season, but I'm all right with that for now. Because, what's going to happen Patrick Mahomes' offense? There's a lot of question marks on his offensive line if you want to even go there. But just brought in Emeka Egbuka, who we were both pretty decent, solid fans of. I think we both had him as a top 4 wide receiver in the class, behind a couple of hot takes. But Jalen McMillan was a stud last year. I think he's going to be a stud again this year. And, I don't know if they get Godwin back looking like Godwin at any point in the season. I don't really care because he's going to dump the ball down to Bucky Irving. He's going to get a bunch of cheap yards. And I'll just leave it here. The best predictor, it's oversimplification because it is simple, but the best predictor, the stickiest stat for fantasy football is previous season fantasy football points. Is the best predictor out of all of the advanced metrics and stats. It's just fantasy points. Who scores more fantasy points? Baker Mayfield, 4,500 passing yards, 41 touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes, 3,900, 26 touchdowns. You do the math. Give me Baker Mayfield 10 times out of 10 over Patrick Mahomes. Sorry about it. Ryan Perrio?
Totally agree. I think I just don't see an offense that's elite after, that they just don't have. Look at the level of talent on the skill position players head to head. You can talk about Rashee Rice, but Mike Evans is a better player than Rashee Rice.
Yeah.
But, potentially Baker's playing with 2 future Hall of Famers. Mahomes is with 1. And that with Godwin, Mike Evans, then if they even upgrade the tight end, because there's K. Dotton's been solid, but what if they find an elite undrafted tight end that just absolutely stretches the field? Then you got checkdowns like Jaylin McLaughlin, or what's the kid's name? Jaylin McMillan, who absolutely, just came on out of nowhere and blew both Rome Odunze and Deshaun Polk out of the water. 2 Washington receivers are drafted way before he was. And so I think, and some of that is good quarterback play. Some, like I will give both. I'll give Roma Dunze more of a pass than Polk because I thought Polk really showed like no effort whatsoever on some of his routes. Like there was a lot of quit in that game. But I will give them the doubt of, just having solid, confident quarterback play makes a throw that much more catchable. I think, I just think Baker's also year 3 in the same offense. Like I think even losing Liam Cohen, their offensive coordinator, Baker's got a handle on this offense now. He's in year 3. It's Baker Mayfield's offense. So I don't, you put all that together and all you have for Kansas City is a lot of trick plays and weird formations where everybody does like a ring around the rosy of the running back and then sets and then snaps the ball. Like they have to resort to all kinds of trickery. That doesn't scream that you're the better quarterback to me when you're having to do those kind of pre-snap window dressing.
Yeah. Enough kung fu treachery out of Andy Reid in Kansas City. So we both agree there. Baker Mayfield over Patrick Mahomes is not a hot take. Not now. If you had a quarterback in the Super Bowl, Ryan Perrio,
Patrick Mahomes. I wouldn't if Baker Mayfield. If somebody else picked Patrick Mahomes, I said Baker Mayfield would probably be in my top 3 as far as quarterback selections for Super Bowl. Like I think you got to have like I just think he has gotten that moxie back and not the over the top like. Shake and bake kind of moxie. Just the okay, you're gonna hit me. I'm gonna stand back up here and I'm gonna throw a dart right over the middle of the field for 40.
Yeah.
Like how many times last year did he get popped and then immediately the next play gun it for 15, 20-yard first down and just keep the drive going?
Nobody gets hit harder than Baker Mayfield and just gets up like nothing happened. He'll be doubled over in pain and just go, ready, set?
He's one quarterback I would love to see get a Super Bowl opportunity. Like he is definitely.
God willing. Let's move on here. Enough saucing up Baker Mayfield. I'm sure everyone's upset with us, stroking off Baker Mayfield for too long. So we'll move on. And we're going to stay in Kansas City. And this is what's fun. And I think this is kind of why we'll see what your point of view on this is. But this is kind of why I think stacking is kind of extremely stupid. So stacking, like, say you get Patrick Mahomes, you want to have Xavier Worthy. Okay, right. Rashee Rice versus Garrett Wilson. And I just said I'm taking Baker Mayfield over Patrick Mahomes. I am actually taking Rashee Rice over Garrett Wilson. Rashee Rice was the clear number 1 wide receiver on the team. His rookie year, obviously, kind of from pretty much day one. And then his second season got cut short. Injured really early, was not a super serious injury, although it was, season ending. And he's back. He's 100%. He's going to be the number 1 receiver like he has been every time he stepped on the field for Kansas City. Like I said already, Travis Kelce aging, withering away. Xavier Worthy going to be the deep threat. Hollywood also probably going to be like the deep threat. And Rashee is just going to soak up so many targets. And when he has the ball in his hands, we know he's elite. Once he gets the ball in his hands, he's gonna make some yak. Garrett Wilson, on the other hand, I know there's a lot of hype between Justin Fields reuniting with his college quarterback. I think that storyline is totally overblown. This is the men's league we're talking about, for goodness sakes. Garrett Wilson's great. I don't think Justin Fields is that good of an NFL quarterback. But wait, the Jets fire their defensive coordinator, head coach, and who do they hire? Offensive guru, defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, Aaron Glenn. So I don't know. What am I expecting out of this Jets offense? I think it's going to be a total shit show. It's the Jets, for goodness sakes. There's a reason they always suck. We'll never know exactly why, because it's like the owners, and you never really know what's going on behind the scenes because nobody wants to talk about it, but they'll hint about it, about how shitty it is. They'll never tell you exactly what's going on. But it's the Jets. Garrett Wilson, he could have got on out of New Jersey. He signed a 4-year extension. He's going to be basically a Jet for life. His career is basically over. He's doomed to have 1,100 yards receiving and 3.5 touchdowns every year for the rest of his career. So have fun with that. Give me Rashee Rice, who I think has a way bigger ceiling, has actually scored a lot of fantasy points. That's the thing about Garrett Wilson is, number one thing you can say about him, very durable. Like, they virtually never misses a game. He's always out on the football field. But because of that, his rankings are kind of bumped up a little bit too high because his performances week by week are so mediocre. Like, we love Jamar Chase because he's like the best wide receiver in fantasy, right? But also because when he hits big, he wins you the whole week. He's going to score 40 points. You win your matchup. That's a win in your win column, especially when you're not playing against the median. That's a big deal. Garrett Wilson's not going to give you those performances. He's never has given you like 20-point games. It's just not something that he's able to do consistently. And I think this offense gets worse under the new administration and new quarterback. And I think Rashee Rice, only thing is injury concern. I have zero injury concerns, at least when it has to do with that knee. Ryan Perrio, Rashee Rice, or Garrett Wilson?
I'm going to go the opposite just to be fun. I'm going to take
feeling.
Garrett Wilson. I believe Aaron Glenn's offensive coordinator is Detroit quarterback, ex-Detroit quarterback coach, correct?
Whatever.
So
everyone knows Dan Campbell. He's the big brain in the operation. It's all Dan.
Still could learn some things. I wonder if they are going to do a little bit of a move in pocket for Justin Fields. I think getting him on the move rather than make him sit back there and diagnose, which is not his strong suit, and just get him to run. Because I think once you start the threat of the run, he gets way more deadly. He's not a really bad passer. He's just a really bad processor. And so I think if you can take the processing out, if you can design an offense where he just basically eliminates a side of the field, I think that there still could be some redemption. I think that Garrett Wilson will have a breakout season. I think you don't have to worry about getting in a rhythm with this quarterback. You already know what he can and can't do. I think a lot of exposure to him in the other division is why they went for him. They obviously saw something when they played him when he was on Chicago, and I think you turn him loose and let him run around. I think you let him do that, then he becomes a bigger threat, and I think that can be absolutely the play here. And I wouldn't be surprised if they are, Garrett Wilson just has a season.
Okay. So the only thing I think I disagree with you on your take is I don't think Justin Fields is that great of a passer. At least at this point in his career, I don't think he's got really what it takes to be as accurate. But if you're right and he is able to be accurate, I mean, all Aaron Rodgers did until DeVonta got there was just stare down Garrett Wilson every single play anyway. There's no one else to throw to.
Yeah.
You can throw Malachi Corley's probably not even fucking make the team. He was the anointed one from the Jets. I remember how people were excited about Malachi Corley. He had
like one play.
Living with Rodgers, he was like, we got to get him. It's the third round. We got to trade up and get Malachi Corley. And we were all like sitting on our couch like, what the fuck are the Jets doing? We knew who Malachi Corley was, but we were like, the guy's, he's not that good. So anyways, that's why you guys are listening to us, because we could literally be a top 15 NFL GM today. I think.
Yep. I mean, 50% is killing it. And we think we can do that.
Yeah. We're not going to be freaking, Brad Holmes over there, but it's, we're going to be all right. We're going to hit on our receivers. All right.
Get the lawyers to do the contract part. We don't have to figure out math and opt outs and.
Yeah, I'll hire someone else to figure that shit out. The salary cap guru. All right, moving on. So disagreement there. You got Garrett Wilson. I got Rashee Rice. This or that. Courtland Sutton versus DeVonta Smith. And I know I'm getting kind of like old and set in my ways. Maybe I've been burnt by too many small-bodied wide receiver like Tank Dell. I love Tank Dell. Man, I'm going to miss him this year.
Coming soon in 2027.
It'll be a long wait before we see Tank Dell again. We're going to see both these guys. Courtland Sutton versus DeVonta Smith. I'm just going to take Courtland Sutton. Number one, wide receiver 1 versus a wide receiver 2. You can't even dispute that. A.J. Brown's the clear number 1. I think. I mean, maybe people will dispute that, but I don't think anybody would raise their hand and stand on a table for DeVonta Smith at this point in their careers versus A.J. Brown, who's still in the prime of his career. Was he like 28 or whatever? Everybody wants to trade him away, even though he's getting the prime of his career. Courtland Sutton, he's got a bad name. And by that, I mean Courtland's not a very intimidating name. Like if you're at a wrestling tournament and you see round one, you going up against a guy named Courtland Sutton out of Denver, you're like, I'm going to fucking kick the shit out of Courtland Sutton. That's a bad wrestler name. Of course, he would come out and just absolutely murder you immediately.
Did you see the 6'8"?
Yeah. Courtland Sutton, always because of his name, I think, and he's playing in Denver too, which I think West Coast never really, or whatever, Mountain Time never really helps you too much anyway. But he finished wide receiver 15 last season. He's in basically the exact same situation. I love Evan Ingram, but I don't think he's going to soak up so many targets that he's going to struggle this year at all, Courtland Sutton, and getting those targets and getting those touchdowns. Same situation, same quarterback with another year of experience after his rookie season. And DeVonta Smith, wide receiver 27 this year, or last season. Courtland Sutton, wide receiver 15. So fantasy points, I get it. Smith was a little bit more efficient. He missed a lot of games. Courtland Sutton didn't. DeVonta's a 185-pound receiver. He's in a men's league. I'm 5'7" and 3/4. I'm like 210 right now. I'm not even that fat. Like 185 pounds is a small, tiny, lad. It's not. We're getting tackled by 300-pound dudes sometimes. So that's why I'm going to ride with Courtland Sutton over DeVonta. Maybe again another example of like a consistency thing. So maybe best ball it would be a little bit closer for DeVonta because he's going to be that deep threat. But Courtland Sutton, redraft, half PPR, give me Courtland Sutton 10 times out of 10. Ryan Perrio?
I'm going to go the other way.
Ooh.
I'm going to take, because I just look at Denver's offense and there's two young receivers you didn't mention. Vele. Absolutely. And I can't think of
so there's Mims and there's Franklin.
Marvin Mims. Yeah, Marvin Mims. Tony Franklin, we watched his numbers and we're like, no. He ran the slowest 40 of all the wide receivers.
Troy, did he run a bad? I don't remember.
I mean, it was like 5. I remember we watched it. It was like 4. It was like 4.7, 4.8 or something like that. It was like eye-poppingly bad at the combine, and I think he ran like a 4.6, 4.5 maybe 4.54 or something at his pro day.
Drafted 102 overall to the Denver Broncos. Oh, jeepers creepers! What did I just click on? Troy Franklin 40 time. No. 4.41. Ryan Perry.
That was at his pro day. That wasn't at the combine. His combine numbers was like really bad because that's what got him down to the 4th and 5th round.
That is his pro day. Why can't I find his combine performance? Oh wow, big time conspiracy.
His representation got that.
He just wiped it off the internet.
Uh-huh. I'm going to take DeVonta Smith because I just think that offense is going to be. He's going to be when you're wide receiver 2 in an elite offense like Philadelphia's got with Jalen Hurts who can run or pass. You've got Saquon Barkley who could run or receive. You've got all these different things. Like you're just gonna have points to go around, and I think DeVonta Smith is the guy to just kind of soak up those, especially with Dallas Goedert, I guess, kind of being on the out. So I don't know what they're going to get out of their tight end room. So I could see them going a little bit more air it out instead to A.J. Brown. They're going to go DeVonta Smith, and they're just gonna do deep balls to each side of the field, just wear your DBs out.
If you're going to bring up Marvin Mims, I'm going to bring up Johnny Wilson. All right.
Okay.
5th round receiver out of Florida State last year. Johnny Wilson's big guy. Got a lot of goal line snaps. Was wide receiver 3 basically from jump last season. Didn't produce at all. I think he had 1 touchdown, but he was getting a lot of goal line reps with Saquon. The 2 wide receiver sets. He ended up blocking a lot, so I think that's going to cap DeVonta Smith's upside. So I do agree with you that it is probably going to be a lot better offense, a high-powered offense, and probably defense takes a step down this year.
I think Bo Nix is going to have a little bit of regression. I think it's just
I agree.
It's great that Sean Payton's finding this win, but it's like you can only learn so much before defenses are like, okay, if you're going to do that, we're just going to do this all in the game, and then make you beat me another way.
Yeah, but I'm just Courtland Sutton camp because I'm like, just give me the guy who's been consistent.
I don't disagree. Like I like Courtland Sutton as well. He's a big consistent, but I see, like I said, I see Deshaun Vela. I see your replacement right there lined up across from you.
Vele's pretty sick. Vele's pretty sick. When he was hampered by a lot of injuries last year, but when he was in, he was getting targeted like 40%. It was kind of crazy out of nowhere.
What a steal out of a 7th round pick too.
Yeah. So we'll see if Vele pans out. I will agree with you that Vele is a little bit of a maybe a little bit of a competition, but I don't think it's this year.
Also be a goal line vulture.
I think it's still Courtland Sutton this year. Maybe next year we'll be talking a little bit more about Vele. Moving on, this or that. We got 2 more to go. Both of these matchups are wide receiver matchups. The next one up, Cedric Tillman against Jack Bech. And I think NFL insider James was a big Jack Bech fan. I can't remember how pumped you were about him, but I'm going to take Cedric Tillman here. Again, this is just like
a Cleveland Browns fan taking the Cleveland Browns receiver.
This is just a non-biased take at all, and this is what I've been doing this whole time. Ryan Perrio is I'm taking the guy who's higher up on the depth chart. I get it. The Cleveland Browns offense probably not going to be great, but they're going to pass it a ton, especially with Quinshon Judkins, in prison maybe by week 1 of the NFL season. Tillman did have a stretch. He had a stretch from week 7 to 11 where his average half PPR points per game landed him in the NFL at wide receiver 8. So wide receiver 8's his ceiling, Ryan Perrio. No, but seriously, Tillman has some big time play. He was injured after that, like early in week 12. I can't even remember what injury. I think it was like a knee or whatever. He was like in and out for the rest of the season. Didn't get as much snaps in. But in all accounts this year, he's gearing up to be the wide receiver 1. Sounds like it's going to be Flacco, then Pickett, or I think they're going to have to cut Pickett. They're either going to have to cut Pickett or sign Shador to the practice squad because they're not going to practice squad Dylan Gabriel. I think they're either going to have to cut Pickett and have Gabriel the number 2. I don't think it's an option for them to put Pickett on the practice squad. I might be wrong. I don't know how the rules are this year anyway. But anyways, interesting quarterback situation. I think Joe Flacco still got a little bit of juice left in the tank despite what we saw in Indianapolis, which you know what I think about Indianapolis' situation over there. Cedric Tillman, obviously, Cleveland Browns not a great situation, but offensively, people still believe in Stefanski at least as like an offensive play caller. And I don't know if I'm as in on that as everybody else seems to be. Everyone else seems to think he's a super genius. I don't know about that. He's definitely a spineless head coach. I'll be nice. He's spineless. Cedric Tillman, however, not spineless. He's really, really good. Jack Bech, I was not a big fan of coming out of school, and he's going to be – I know they're not big names, but he's going to be behind Jacoby Myers. He's going to be behind Trey Tucker, who was like top 10 in – Trey Tucker, top 10 in routes run last season. So they got a new quarterback over there. I think Trey Tucker, deep, dark sleeper, maybe be a good candidate to kind of pick up late in certain drafts. I don't see it with Jack Bech. I think they got another like later round wide receiver. Jack, I think drafted in the 3rd round. I think they got like a 5th round guy over there too out of Colorado State, maybe, who's playing pretty well. So yeah, just a depth chart thing. It's going to take a lot for Jack Bech to get on the field. I think Cedric Tillman's going to be day 1 wide receiver 2 for the Cleveland Browns. Ryan?
I'm going to disagree. I've held out hope for 3 years on Cedric Tillman to kind of turn the corner and be that alpha wide, the fit in the body. Like that guy is probably the biggest looking wide receiver. Like he looks like is like the biggest man. It's like
He looks like Nico Collins. If you just put him in
Yeah.
Texans uniform, he'd just look like Nico Collins.
he is huge. But I just think Jack
Size
Bech
and
has.
speed.
Yeah, I just think Jack Bech is going to be to kind of give a player that you love. I think he's going to be the Jake Bobo of the Oakland offense. Like he's just going to be that big guy that just sits down in the zone and just comes
He's going
up
to
with
dominate
catch.
preseason.
It's going to dominate. Just give him a chance. I think he's going to be absolutely a reliable target. I think he's going to be one of those guys that you got Geno Smith at quarterbacks. You have a little bit of stability. You don't have the Aiden O'Connell, or kind of hope that he kind of pans out. He's shown that he's probably a career backup at best, and good on him to kind of stick on the roster. But I think with Geno Smith, he's going to be really good at distributing the ball around the field, and I think that Jack Bech is going to end up getting on the field as either wide receiver 2 or. I don't think wide receiver 1. I just don't see the physical gift. So I think he could be a physically dominant wide receiver 2 where you just big bodies you.
Hell yeah, Ryan. Feels like we have not – I think we – was Baker Mayfield this episode? I think it was.
Yeah.
I think we agreed on Baker Mayfield and James Conner, and since then we have been opposites. So we're going to have
we have to have some disagreements. We can't have
we're going to have a pretty good
all
receipts episode. I will, to close out your point, I will also take Cedric Tillman over Jake Bobo this year as well. Just to be fair.
What if Jake Bobo has like the breakout year where he just
Then I'll be happy. Then I'll be happy. But like you said, Cedric Tillman, everyone loved him out of college too.
second round pick, I believe.
You're a big college scout guy.
Yeah, big second round pick out of Tennessee. He just got hurt, I think, right at the end of the year, but he was Hendon Hooker's number 1 target, and he just went down. And the Giants took Jaylin Hyatt, which he's not panned out so far.
I hear Jaylin Hyatt's in the best shape of his life.
I'm in the best shape of my life right now, Jamie.
We all are. It's preseason. All right. Yeah. Last one here for us. Alec Pierce versus a guy I know you love. We didn't get to talk nearly enough Texans. Maybe next time we do this, we'll do some Texans. Jaylin Noel out of Iowa State, the second Iowa State wide receiver drafted by the Texans in this year's draft. And I'm excited to hear what you have to say. I know you're a big Jaylin Noel guy, but you're a big RJ Harvey guy, and you picked James Conner. And I am going to have, maybe it's a hot take, but I'm going to take Alec Pierce. And if you ask fantasy people, fantasy football folks around the league, more like casuals or even like maybe real analysts, you say, hey, who led the Colts in receiving yards last year? I don't know what they'd say. Bet you they wouldn't say Alec Pierce. Who led the Colts in touchdowns last season? Bet you they wouldn't say Alec Pierce. Both of those things are true. He's a wide receiver 1 on the team. Maybe not in receptions, maybe not in targets. He's the best receiver. He's got a massive upgrade with Daniel Jones. I get it. It's a shit show, but we're taking late sleeper picks here at this point in the episode. And I think, I hate to say it, I think Jaylin Noel is going to be stuck behind Christian Kirk. I think he's supposed to be the slot wide receiver on the team. I think Kirk is going to be the bridge guy. So again, to your credit, maybe more of a dynasty play. I'm a big Higgins stan. He's my number 1 drafted player in best ball fantasy football since the draft. I love Higgins. I think he's going to be the next big thing. I think we'll see what you say, but the only thing you could say about Noel is he's playing behind Nico Collins and he's playing behind Christian Kirk, who are like, their bones are made of like Fabergé or whatever. Or is that even like a soft thing? What's it, like a glass? Yeah. Their bones are made of glass. All right. Or Fabergé eggs. Those are fragile, right? They're not very durable, Ryan Perrio.
I'm going to disagree.
You don't know?
Oh, I know. I'm going to disagree with you, though. I think Jaylin Noel. I think Alec Pierce is at best wide receiver 2. I think Michael Pittman is going to get a real big uptick this year with a competent quarterback play. I think that's going to be I think Alec Pierce is going to be wide receiver 2, kind of deep threat, because that's really what his bag is. He doesn't have an extensive wide receiver tree. Jalen Noel, on the other hand, has the complete route tree, and drawn some camp comparisons to one Steve Smith, like just physical. Like even though he's smaller, try to get him on the ground. It's going to be a day. He's aggressive, he's fast, and he's very quick on. He eats up the yardage between the DB. The space is gone before the DB can really get into his back pedal. He's been doing really well. I could see him being wide receiver 3 and Christian Kirk being the Robert Woods role on this team of just being that veteran wide receiver 4 that's just out there, that just maybe is just there in the vacant space left behind these 3 fucking deep threats that Houston's got right now. Just all over the field, they just spread it out, and then he just let Kirk just stand there and not even spraying a muscle, just go out about 5 yards and just then eat up 10 to 20. But I just think that the Texans' offense is going to be so different this year. You're going to see a Rams-like offense, and I think the Rams do a great job of getting the football to all the wide receivers, not just the number one guy. Puka Nacua got a lot of touches, but so did
Cup.
Cooper Kupp, and what was the other guy, the little slender man, I can't think of his name.
Not
Louisville.
Robinson.
DeMarcus Robinson even got like a good chunk of yards out of it.
But who are you talking about? I
can't think of his name. He's a kid from Louisville. He's very small, kind of undersized. And also, give it up to Matt Stafford on an offshoot while we're looking that
Tutu
up.
Atwell.
Tutu
Why
Atwell.
couldn't we pull Tutu? That's a real shame.
But I mean, you look at Matt Stafford. He's like, even after he lost Calvin Johnson, look at all the people that he's kind of propped. Could consider it prop to see what Cooper Kupp does this year. If maybe that Matt Stafford was kind of putting that ball where only Cooper could come down with it.
I can't wait to see Matt Stafford and Devonta Adams this year. We didn't talk about him today. We didn't talk about like a lot of Rams at all. I don't think we talked about any Rams, did we? But man, am I excited for Devonta. Maybe we'll throw him on next episode of this or that. Anything to tell the audience, Ryan Perrio?
I am in Tucson. I'll be in Tucson, Arizona this coming weekend with Greg Jr. I was in Hyannis, Albuquerque last week with Matty Smith, so I'm just out here on the road, just have a little vacation between gigs, and then I'll be back home next Sunday.
Road Dog, Ryan Perrio. We've got a long list of episodes coming up. If you haven't watched episode 1 of this or that, please do that. It's already on the channel. What do we have coming up? I think next time, Ryan Perrio, we are planning, and we always deliver on the plans that we make, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So I think the big plan here is we are going to do a rookie wide receiver review, because we did that last year and a lot of people really liked it, especially this time, because most of the rookie wide receiver content comes out like around the draft, but most fantasy football like players don't start really doing research until like right now, which is why we're getting out there. So we're going to do a nice recap for the fam. We're going to do, I think, a combined quarterbacks and running backs episode, or no,
just the backs.
Other way around. We're doing running backs next. Then after that, we're doing wide receivers and quarterbacks, same episode.
Okay.
So rookie running back review coming up, because it's the best rookie running back class in our lifetime.
There's a lot of them.
Everybody
there are
knows
a lot
that.
to review. Outside of Quinshon Judkins.
and then we'll do wide receiver, quarterback. Then we'll do our fantasy football bus. We'll do our fantasy football values. We'll do our my guys, and we're gonna have a pretty good time. So we're gonna do that all the way leading up to the NFL season. We'll also have some gambling stuff leading up to the NFL season, and then once we're in it, it's just watch parties and gambling and just having a good old time, celebrating our hard work we've done all off season. Ryan Perrio, and I'm happy to have you along for the ride. My name's Jamie Jakes. Please subscribe to the channel. See you next time.